Good morning, environmental science. For the last time this semester, just want to pop in really quick and say hello and say goodbye and give you some reminders about a couple of things for the final week here and make a couple of quick announcements about some stuff that's changed really briefly. Again, this is the last week of class. We do not have an ICN meeting on Thursday as it's part of the finals week, and we don't have final time designated for this course. What I'd like you to do to finish up for the class, and I've sent out a couple of emails over the last couple of weeks to remind you of some of these things, but one thing has changed. What you need to do this week is make sure that you're caught up on three things. The first of which are the quizzes, and so remember to get all the quizzes taken. You can take all of the quizzes. They're all open. There are 13 of them total, it looks like, and I tell you which chapter they're over here too. And so for the first 8 or 9 weeks or so, the quiz matched up with the chapter number, and then things got a little weird towards midterm there. Chapters 8 and 9 were part of quiz 8, and then chapter 10 was quiz 9, and then chapter 12 was quiz 10, and chapter 13 was quiz 11, etc. And so I realize that gets a little weird, but just make sure that you're paying attention to which quiz is paired up with which chapter, and you should be in good shape. Again, these are each 5 points, multiple choice quiz. Comes from a pretty simple reading of your chapter. If you've got your textbook in front of you when you take the quiz, you should be able to do okay on those. And there's quizzes up through chapter 15, it looks like. So make sure that those are all taken. It looks like I've got these quizzes open, gang, until Friday the 15th of December at 11:30 p.m. And so you have until Friday at 11:30 to take all the quizzes. After that point, you'll get zeros on the ones that you didn't take. So make sure you're caught up on all the quizzes. That's first reminder. Second reminder, I need you to make sure that you're caught up on your environmental news. And so if you come to enter environmental news in the discussion board, you've got environmental news going back all the way to week 1, chapter 1, on down here to environmental news number 11, which is over chapter 15. And so these got screwed up too along the way, and I dropped a couple out because I was sick and not keeping up on stuff. And so these numbers here are a little wonky. Just make sure that you're paying attention to which chapter you're supposed to be posting kind of from or to, I suppose, if you want to think of it that way, and you'll be in good shape. And so there's 11 environmental news. Make sure that you've done all of those. And they go up through chapter 15 that deals with air pollution and climate change, but a couple of them did get cut out. So like there's not one, it looks like, from chapter 11 or chapter 12. But otherwise, I think we did a pretty good job of hitting most of those. So you can go back and you can get caught up on old environmental news if you need to. And again, just make sure that you're all caught up on those, that you're posting an original link to an article with a summary and some questions, but that you're also reading at least one of your classmates' posts and then responding to them along with a question or so. And so to get the full 10 points, you need to post originally and you need to respond to a classmate. So that's for the environmental news reminder. And then the third reminder, critical thinking. And this one's a little different, I suppose, in the sense that, well, like the beginning of the semester for the quizzes in the environmental news, the critical thinkings were paired up with the chapter in the book that they were meant to cover, and then that got crossed up too. And so somewhere around in here things got goofy. So critical thinking number 11 is paired up with chapter 12 in your text, and that asks you to read a couple of these articles and respond. Critical thinking 12 is paired up with chapter 13. Critical thinking 13 is paired up with chapter 14. And critical thinking 14, the last one, is paired up with chapter 15. So again, the numbering scheme's a little goofed up. Most everybody's caught up, it looks like, on the critical thinking up through about chapter 12. So I think most of you are caught up on critical thinking up through about chapter 12. Chapter apologies, so critical thinking number 12. These last two, critical thinking number 13 and critical thinking number 14, not many of you have got a chance to participate in those yet. And so I foresee this week most of us spending time getting this critical thinking from chapters 14 and 15 knocked out. These are a little different critical thinking than what I've had you do so far this semester, in the sense that I want you to watch a little video for each one of these. So there's a link to a video for critical thinking 13 that talks about the Environmental Protection Agency. And then there's a link to a video for critical thinking number 14 that links to another documentary, actually the same group that produces this documentary here about the EPA is producing this documentary here about climate change. So they're both from a group called Frontline that airs on PBS. It's really good stuff. And so for these two critical thinkings, what I'd like you to do is watch these documentaries. They're each about an hour long. So take your time watching those. And then I'm not going to read these instructions to you. I'll let you read them to yourself. Likewise with number 14 here. But basically the gist of this is going to be the following. You need to watch these two documentaries for the critical thinkings for these last 2 weeks. Watch each of those documentaries and then write a letter to an elected official responding to these videos, these documentaries that you watch. And so, again, I'm not going to read the instructions to you, but if you kind of boil this down here, what it says is, in response, please write a letter to an elected official that includes your thoughts about what you just watched, questions you still have about the issues being discussed, and how your thoughts and ideas changed as a result of watching. So I have that under the critical thinking number 14. Under number 13, I wrote, after watching this week's documentary, I'd like you to research an area that the EPA oversees and some of the changes and how they'll impact you. Do some investigating, blah, blah, blah. Once you've done some reading, I'd like you to respond to an elected official with your feelings about how these changes impact you. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to watch each one of these documentaries, but I only need you to write one letter. And that letter, though, does need to go to an elected official. So somebody who represents you here locally at the state or at the county level. So figure out who your local Congress members are and write them a letter talking about your responses to these documentaries that you watched, and then post that letter in the message board like you would for the normal critical thinking. So you're going to need to figure out who your elected official is, and then I want you to address this letter to them and make it personal. So tell them about who you are and where you're from and why you think the issues that are being brought up in these two documentaries are important. And as an elected official, maybe ask them what they think they're going to do to help solve some of these problems or help fight some of these fights. So the deliverable, what you're going to turn in for the critical thinking 13 and critical thinking 14 is one letter based on your watching of these two documentaries. So, and then you can post that in here. Some of you have already kind of gotten a start on that, and I did provide some feedback about how you might make those letters a little more personal. And so you'll probably have to Google who is my elected official, and you can put in your address and those kinds of things. So you could write to the governor, you could write to state senator, you could write to the U.S. senators from the state of Iowa. There's lots of people that you could write to. You could write to your local congressperson, whatever district you're in. Maybe that's Rob Blum, or maybe that's Dave Lobsack, depending on where you live. So that's what I need you to do for those last two critical thinkings. The only other new thing then is that I removed an assignment. And so I had originally up here under general discussions, I had included what was called final what did I learn synthesis. And I really like those assignments, but I think in the best interest of time and in the best interest of not overworking you here at the end of the semester, I decided to get rid of that assignment. Because we haven't not all of us were able to turn in the chapter 8 and 9 synthesis. So some of you are going to take a hit on that already, and I'm guessing that some of those same folks wouldn't get anything posted for the final, and so there's kind of a double whammy. And as of 20 minutes ago, nobody had posted anything yet in the final discussion forum, and that's fine. And so I'm throwing that assignment out, making the decision and that's not going to harm anybody. If you already got a start on it and you want to share it with me, that's awesome. If you haven't, not to worry. And so the kind of the final reminder / announcement is that there is no final what did I learn synthesis assignment that I had put up here under the Chapter 8-9 synthesis. If you haven't turned in the Chapter 8-9 synthesis, you still have a few days to do that. That'll be due on Friday as well, along with the quizzes, the critical thinking assignments, and the environmental news assignments. So that, in addition, if you haven't done the Chapter 8-9 synthesis yet, you could still do that and get points. Okay, so that's it from me. All right, I wanted to just give you some reminders here, kind of give it to you face-to-face as opposed to in a normal email. And if you have questions about anything, please don't hesitate to contact me. I know it sounds like there's kind of a lot to do here between now and the end of the week, and there is, but you've been working hard this semester, and so keep putting in the effort that you need, and you'll finish strong here. I know that you will. It has been a pleasure working with you all this semester, too, online. I know it's been a little weird. I got sick there towards the middle of the end of the semester, which screwed up a few things scheduling-wise, and the ICN room was kind of on the fritz there for a little bit here at the end, and so the ICN meetings didn't work out quite as well as I'd like to, but the online discussion I thought was great, and so I appreciate the effort that you put into that part of this semester and all of that work, and I do just want to, again, extend a thank you to everybody for the hard work you put in this semester. It was good working with you. Again, please contact me if you have questions here between now and the end of the week. Otherwise, everything needs to be turned in by Friday at 11:30, and I look forward to reading your final thoughts here online. Again, please don't hesitate to contact me if you have questions about anything. Otherwise, good luck here with your finals from your other classes, and good luck with all of your efforts going forward. Thanks again. Have a great end of the semester and a great holiday. Take care.